Hello, everyone. This is Daryl Guberman, CEO of Guberman PMC LLC, a quality consulting firm here in Connecticut. We're going to try to go through this fast because we didn't have enough time in the last video to get this out to Mr. Judge Reed O'Connor, who is trying to reestablish some sort of grounds there for the plea bargain that Boeing was doing against the Ethiopian and Indonesian aircraft and the families, the survivors' families. So Reed O'Connor's given them 30 days to answer what's going to take place. This video today is about QA expert Daryl Guberman educates Judge Reed O'Connor on Boeing's corruption and the DOJ's role in the FAA oversight failures, part 2. Judge O'Connor, in 2001, we remember 9/11, a sad day, and and 19 days later, Boeing on CNN Money came out and said they were laying off 25 to 30,000 people. 7 months later, mind you, they came out, and you notice that there's no Boeing logo on here. This was the notification on the supplier portal. We have that data. As a matter of fact, we have it right there. There you go, NADCAP letter. There is no Boeing logo on here, but it does require that a company send in the NADCAP cert once they're certified, and NADCAP is basically for special processes, heat treat, welding, non-destructive testing like penetrant inspection. Just a couple months later, by the way, both the NADCAP and this one, the supplier bulletin that came out in July of 2002, that said that just send in your ANSI ANAB accredited AS9100 certificate, which AS9100 is the international standard for aerospace. Just send that in. As long as it's accredited by ANSI ANAB, you're good to go. The reason why is that Boeing sits on the management committee, which they took down from their ANSI ANAB website, because that committee Boeing sits on can grant, suspend, and withdraw certification, number one. You see the supplier bulletin that they are saying that you must have an AS9100 certificate, must be ANSI ANAB accredited. And then the third one, the Progressive Resistance, is a supplier portal. We are going to show you here the supplier portal that basically says all third-party registrars must be ANSI ANAB or international equivalent. And by the way, Judge O'Connor, the international equivalent could be Pakistan or China or even Iran. Who the heck knows? They all are, especially China and Pakistan, are equivalent in accreditation to ANSI ANAB. Now, ANSI ANAB, by the way, we're going to get into it here because we talked last time. Here it goes. The American National Standards Institute and the American National Crediting Board are not-for-profit, non-governmental entities. They've been around for over 100 plus years. ANSI has anyway. It used to be a standard writer. Now it's been bastardized over time. The American National Standards Institute, they have both federal agencies and corporations on board. In 2015, Randy Doherty, the vice president of ANAB, the chairman of the IF, and the principal on the IF tax report, handed over leadership to Zhao Jinwu, a communist Chinese national who is mandated by his country of origin to take our data through the China National Intelligence Law, Article number 7. He has also been involved with our quality since 1994. Also, Judge O'Connor, at the time, he was the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services, the same organization that certified the laboratory in Wuhan, China, the BioLevel 4 lab. You have ANSI, who took over complete control over ANAB in 2018. They both sat, and they still sat, because they're the founding fathers of the IF, International Accreditation Forum. We're going to be getting to that very shortly. They sat on ANSI ANAB between 2015 and 21, when Zhao Jinwu, the communist and the Chinese national, was ruling over the roost, so to speak, both federal agencies and corporations. ANSI ANAB, and here it is, so here you go. ANSI and ANAB are founders of the IF, International Accreditation Forum, which is incorporated in Delaware, okay? Their sister organization, ILAC, the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation, is in Australia. ANSI ANAB are underwriters for both the IAF and ILAC. Those companies that sit as accreditation bodies, both national and international on the IF and ILAC, you know, if they have a problem, ANSI and ANAB are responsible for all systematic and product failures. You can't make this up. Here goes a little tiny collage here. You see Randy again over there, and you also see Zhao Jinwu in 2017 standing up in the laboratory in Wuhan, China, handing a laboratory certificate to a laboratory that was ill-prepared. How do I know that? Well, let's get on to Pamela Sale. Pamela Sale said this. She said, there is no protocol from one laboratory and another They take what they want, they grab what they want, so you basically have an out-of-control system. Okay, this deposition was done in Texas in 2017. We have all the data. And she basically said that one of the issues is that there was no commonly agreed upon set of standards at forensic labs. I'm going to add these two, bio-level 4 labs like Wuhan, and also phlebotomy labs that would take blood tests around the country and world have to follow. Instead, there are informal guidelines that labs can choose to follow or not. She basically confessed to the release of the virus. And by the way, Judge, in 2018, a contingency came from the United States to go to Wuhan, China. The scientists were complaining that they did not have well-trained technicians. Okay, they did not have enough of them. And in any well-run bio-level 4 lab, you must have trained technicians because that is the first line of defense. And they also said that escapes from the laboratories are always a human error deal. So if they have trained technicians, they're more than likely going to stop that contagion from escaping. In 2019, the CDC, Volume 25, May 2019, Volume 25, came out with a training document for no other than Wuhan, China. Virology lab, that's the only one. And they say in there that the most critical part of any well-run lab is to have highly trained technicians. They did not have that. Now we go with Boeing. Here is the standard I showed you that Boeing came out with in 2002, right after 9/11, 7 months after, and it basically said this, if I may read it to you. We believe that the program, well, here it is. Boeing will augment NADCAP audits with additional assessments as a need arises. What does a need arise mean? Well, basically they say send in your cert, send in your parts, and we'll wait till a plane falls out of the sky. The next one, in July, you have the supplier bulletin that said this. Said, on-site Boeing audit of the supplier's quality system if need be. Our preference is to deal with proven suppliers with excellent quality performance and not have to do on-site system surveys or audits. Basically, send in your AS9100 certificate, ANAB accredited, send in your parts, and we don't have to do any on-site audits. In 2009, the FAA gave up regulatory authority. I'm not going to read this, but we do have it documented. Regulatory authority, meaning that they perform tasks on behalf of the FAA on oversight and testing product standards along with aircraft certifications, technologies like the MCAS system, which killed the poor people in the Ethiopian air and Indonesian air. And Boeing's inspection work is, and by the way, that's also with Sam Salapar talking about they also can buy out new aircraft designs. In 2019, the FAA, who gave them authority just a mere 10 years ago, said that FAA has never allowed companies to police themselves or self-certify their aircraft. And here we go. The FAA sits on ANSI ANAB's board. ANSI ANAB are called out on the supplier portal. Okay? Boeing supplier portal. This is the page that I downloaded. Now if you take this link over here, it doesn't go to this page anymore. This shows you right over here, Judge O'Connor, that Boeing sits on the board that can grant, suspend, and withdraw certification. And here's the kicker. You have now the Department of Homeland Security, actually the U.S. Department of Commerce through NIST, Homeland Security, Department of Justice, and U.S. Food, FDA, sitting there being not only members on the board, but they're also customers. You have NIST that sits there. You also have NIST that has the Gordon Gillerman who works for NIST, getting this federal salary, getting paid $120,000 to represent on ANSI. They get their federal salary and ANSI's bonus, I guess. Homeland Security, the Department of Homeland Security that I stood up in April 17th, 2024, you have them sitting there with a Phil Matheson who's making $262,000 plus his federal salary. Is there something wrong with this? And then the big one is you have the DOJ sitting over by Boeing, who sits on ANSI ANAB's board. Okay? And as I told you, the FDA. Okay? As I showed you, FDA is also a paying customer to ANSI ANAB. And here is Mr. Kelly Oberg's timeline when it came to the MCAS system. Okay? Judge O'Connor, get a hold of me because we've tried to get a hold of Boeing. 203-556-1493. I was there in October. I am 751 in Washington State. I look forward to hearing from you.